If you do that, one day God will come to you and he will tell you, you choose to either serve me or this organization. You choose to either serve man or this organization. Because a lot of these organizations, eventually, they will crowd out the God in your life. You try going to them and telling them, hey, God spoke to my heart. I was in a prayer meeting, just me and God told me I needed to go to a certain town and open up a work. If that's not their plans for you, then that wasn't God speaking to you. That's just an example, and I've seen those things in my life in a reality. You know, so there's a lot of this strong personalities that's taking place that I just want to bring to your attention that there's always been strong personalities, even before the present ones that are on social media today. Before them, there was personalities that eclipsed everybody else. I'll never forget, I was pastoring a church down in Hinesville, Georgia, and I went to pick up somebody for church, to bring them to church. And I walked, he invited me in, and I think I was waiting for a few minutes for him, and he had Jimmy Swaggart on his TV program. And Jimmy Swaggart was confessing to some sins that he had committed. And, you know, everybody, the whole nation, or his whole church was shocked. His whole organization, the Assemblies of God, was shocked. He was considered the king of evangelism. He had one of the largest outreaches in the world. He gave millions and millions of dollars to missionary efforts around the world. I mean, before he fell, he was huge. He was huge. And nobody saw that coming, because he was pointing and preaching so hard to other people about that same sin. And he was preaching them, saying that they needed to come out of the pulpit. They needed, they were snakes and they were wolves in sheep's clothing and a whole host of things, when all along he himself had been living in, habitually living in that same sin. And I'll let you do your own research. But the whole congregation was weeping and wailing as he stepped down from his pulpit. He was a bright and shining star, so to speak, in the gospel preaching world. Now, just because he doesn't line up with your doctrine, it shouldn't matter. My point is that there were thousands and thousands of young people that was heading to his Bible school. There were thousands and thousands of people that were going to his church, that were looking to him. And my point is this right here. Not that those things are wrong, but my point is this right here. For those of you are looking to hide you and your call, you're trying to hide behind the ministry of somebody else. You're trying to hide behind the strong personality of somebody else. And when they preach hard, you're like, oh yeah, you get them, you get them, you get them. I want to do that. I want to do that. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be like that. You have to develop your own walk with God and not live through somebody else. Not live through somebody else. So if you're getting ready to pack up and move to go join some big YouTube personality, I guarantee you, I'd be willing to bet that that's all that very well could be just you and your flesh. How's your walk with God? How's your prayer life? How's your discernment? How's your alone time with God? How has God brought you through the dark night? How has God brought you through the pain of life? How has God answered your prayers and made a way when there seemed to be no way? Which brings me to my next point right here. in the organization that I was in and other organizations that I was familiar with, strong people that you would never think that they would fall. In fact, I'm thinking of a man right now that my heart just breaks and still breaks. In 1982, he was preaching, and I've got the preaching tape in my office. But he was preaching, making a stand for God. Making a stand for God, about David making a stand for God. And when all of Israel was digging in, he was going out to the battlefield.